Just 2 races remain in the 2024 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and the much-anticipated stop on the calendar for this season, the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 from the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. With a fresh coat of asphalt, we are getting set to set the starting lineup for tonight's event. I'm Eric Brennan alongside of Andy Austin. We'll be hearing from Jesse Punchdown trackside, and we're going to kick things off right away with qualifying to see who will be able to lay claim to the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award for this race. First car on the racetrack, car number 01 out of Wakefield, New Hampshire, driving the Yellow House entry. Best finish of the season has been a 15th place at Lancaster. First time back in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition since Riverhead, having missed the last few rounds. Welcome back to Melissa Fifield, who's going to kick us off for qualifying. First lap on the clock for Fifield, a 20.669. Fifield's going to try to improve here on what is the second tour-type modified race on the weekend. But of course, the Whelen Modified Tour capping off a very busy weekend at this track, and it will be a 19.862 for Fifield on her time trial run.
Melissa Fifield with an interesting sponsor lineup for this particular race. She's getting married next month, and actually teaming up with one of the wedding vendors as sponsorship for this particular race. A very unique experience for the 01 team.
Very unique story as our second driver comes out on the speedway. This is a driver who hails from Ormond Beach, Florida. It's a family-owned operation, car number 09, a Destroyer chassis race car with Generac support and sponsorship. He's a 602 modified champion down at New Smyrna Speedway and a multi-time winner there again in 2024. Now making his second start of the season, the other being at his home track at New Smyrna to kick off the year. This is Christopher Hatton Jr. coming to the checkers, and his second lap through will be a 19.202, the official lap of record for Christopher Hatton Jr. in the 09 machine.
As these drivers continue to come out for qualifying, the times will perceptively get faster, leading up to the driver who was fastest in practice this afternoon. The one and only practice from 10:30 to 11:30, that would be Matt Hirschman, who turned a lap of 17.2. Very tight within the top 7. It's going to be interesting to see who can take the pole award this afternoon.
Out on the racetrack now and doing just as you said there, Andy, jumping right to the top is the third car on the racetrack, going in reverse order from practice speeds. First car we've seen in the 18-second bracket, 18.696 for the 30-year veteran in Whelen Modified competition with over 200 starts on the tour. This is a Fury Race Cars, Bowie One Seafood Market and Restaurant, 18 out of Calverton, New York. Ken Hagee is going to clock in with an 18.596 as his lap of record to go to pole.
On a brand new surface to the Whelen Modified Tour, and new surface in 2024. Certainly has been worked in by a couple of the races that have happened this year, and namely the big Smart and Cars showdown yesterday. These drivers have a rule book built, or excuse me, they've had something built from last year as far as what they would make for their notebook, and every single driver that I've talked to this afternoon said that rule book does not matter this afternoon because of the new repave.
We just saw Andrew Kraus run one and only lap. It will be the fastest. Kraus, who was in the Smart Modified Tour event yesterday, was involved in an accident. They had a problem with the hauler leaving the facility. Wasn't sure if they were going to be able to qualify. And the multi-time track champion at Wall Stadium Speedway now sits atop the board. We welcome another competitor who had to do some work after the Smart Modified event here yesterday afternoon. This is longtime Whelen Modified Tour competitor and 9-time winner Tim Connolly out of Milford, Connecticut, and the Mystic Missile. It's the Connolly Company's LLC number 4, the team that had to thrash after heavy impact to the inside wall. About 3 hours is what it took for the team to get this car race ready. And Connolly is out here for another opportunity to tackle this racetrack that he knows oh so well after running both of the racetrack revival events in 2022. Checkered flag for Connolly. His first lap was good enough to put him to the top of the charts. Lap number 2 is going to slow down a little bit. 18.084 for Tim Connolly in car number 4.
At least he was able to keep it in one piece. Since Wilkesboro has reopened, he has had a number of incidents with that Mystic Missile number 4 car. Hopefully he can turn it around and have a good afternoon as we look to the next driver on the field.
It's going to be the PSR Products Pace-O-Matic number 38 for the 2000 NASCAR Cup Series champion out of Corpus Christi, Texas, Bobby Labonte at the helm of this race car. He was involved in a crash in this race last year after starting up in the top 10. Hard to believe that Bobby has 8 NASCAR Cup Series starts. When the track was open from 1993 to 1996, he even picked up the top 10 in the final year of operation with this facility in a Cup car before its what we thought would be untimely demise. Labonte clocks in now second fastest out of 6 cars that have been on the track so far.
And next on the grid, another driver with Cup experience, although not Cup experience at North Wilkesboro. Car number 77, the Mike Curb car. This is Ryan Newman entering turn number 3. Newman works his way off of corner number 4, here to take lap number 1, and we'll have the time.
And right to the top of the charts for that of Ryan Newman, 2008 Daytona 500 champion, his 3rd start of 2024, and 2nd for this Mike Curb and Gary Putnam team number 77 entry. Newman now off of turn number 4, going to try to dip in the 17-second bracket, is what we saw in practice by some of the fastest competitors, and he'll get close, but not quite enough. 18.009 for Ryan Newman in the 77 car this afternoon.
Great thing about Ryan Newman is that he is still amped. He is still ready to roll every single time he's on the racetrack. He was the 2nd car out in practice this afternoon. That's how excited he was to get out there and get some laps. Excited about the long run car tonight, but a solid time for car number 77 as we have number 44 on the racetrack. This is Chase Dowling.
And Dowling's going to be the first to touch the 17-second bracket by 0.2 of a second, making his 4th start of 2024. The Roxbury, Connecticut native has gone to the top of the charts. Can he better the lap time on lap number 2? We're about to find out. Dowling comes to the line. 2nd lap is going to be a little bit slower, but we are officially in the 17-second bracket with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and it is Chase Dowling, the pace setter. Whoa, look out. That's way up high for Ramo in turn 1.
Sammy Ramo down the back straightaway. If that was any other driver, I would have said that was a bobble. But this is something that Sammy Ramo is building for later on during this afternoon. I mentioned how he was going, or I asked him how he was going to approach turns number 1 and 2, and he said, I expect to be up there towards the wall at the end of this race, much like I was last night. He turns a very solid first lap. 4th fastest, but here he comes to the checkered flag. Sammy Ramo looking to pick up big and doesn't do so this time around.
He'll have to sit on that first lap that he was able to turn that first time through as we welcome Old Blue to the racetrack. The Moeller Racing number 3 out of Oswego, New York. Tyler Ripkema started 10th, finished 12th here in 2023. This is his 13th start of the season. His best finish was 3rd at Riverhead in September in what was his first race with this historic car. We'll see what he's got, as he is the 10th car on the racetrack of 20 that are scheduled to come out for qualifying. And Ripkema to the top, 17.7 for Tyler Ripkema in car 3. He'll try to better it here.
He had a problem in turn number 1, just went full send into that corner, tries to back it up in turn number 3. The car has been to victory lane this year with driver Jake Johnson of Monadnock Speedway. Tyler Ripkema is going to be your trending pole sitter with a time of 17.710. Old Blue, the hand-painted Old Blue, makes its way back into the pit area as the fastest race car on the track.
4-time winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Last time was at Thompson in 2022. He's been knocking on the door to victory lane all year long with a best finish of 2nd last time out at Riverhead. Started 5th in this race last year, but faded to 34th in the final running order, and he just misses the pole his first time around. In the Riverhead Building Supply, number 46 out of Miller Place, New York, Craig Lutz trying to jump to pole on his 2nd lap by.
Lutz very excited about this afternoon after having a great run last year. Despite throwing out the notebook and the fact that they have to basically start fresh, he was excited to be here fresh off a great run last week at Thompson Speedway. He's going to come across 2nd with a 17.913. 17.913 for Craig Lutz. That's good for 2nd.
Got a very tight championship battle coming into the final 2 races of 2024. This driver, a 3-time winner on the season, 3rd in points, 21 markers out of the championship points lead, and he clocks in 3rd his first time around in the Fleetworks Incorporated number 1 out of Orchard Park, New York. Patrick Everling trying to jump up for what he hopes to be his 2nd pole of 2024. Did so at Thompson earlier this season, went on to win the race there as well. Checkered flag as Everling comes to the line. and he will not be able to overseat Ripkema, who holds pole. Emmerling, though, would be on the front row if qualifying was to end now.
And Patrick Emmerling had the bobble in turn number 3. I think that really impeded his momentum and kept him out of the top rung. Right now he rides in second as we look to a driver who, despite the fact he won a championship last night, car number 7 got 7 hours sleep, won the championship, went to bed, and Luke Baldwin goes to the top, well rested, and a fast first lap for car number 7.
Caught up with Luke a little bit earlier. He said he felt this car is very good. Happy to get back in the Whelen Modified Tour for his second start of his career and season after running very well at New Hampshire before a late wreck put him out of the running. He gets very close to the wall off 4, but Baldwin's going to be able to sit on the 17.675 he laid down to be on the provisional pole.
Joey Coulter next to take time. Car number 02 has the arc going off of turn number 2, begins to rocket down the backstretch on his first time. Driver with Craftsman Truck Series experience, running here open wheel for the last half dozen years, and a good run off of turn number 4. Let's see the time.
Coulter's going to clock in on officially 6th spot the first time around in the SRI Performance and Bilstein Shocks entry for the driver out of Miami Springs, Florida. He actually has some super late model experience here as well. Finished 4th in a past super late model event in 2010. So this is a place that Coulter knows very well. Lap 2, not going to be able to improve. P6 for now for Joey Coulter in car 02.
As you can see on your screen, Luke Baldwin is your leader, followed by Tyler Ripkema in old blue number 3. Patrick Emmerling, one of the championship contenders, riding in 3rd. Craig Lutz in 4th, and Chase Dowling currently your top 5. But all eyes on the backstretch now for the driver everyone's gunning for here in the final 2 races of 2024. Here comes Ronnie Silk to the white flag.
First lap for Silk is going to be 2nd on the stopwatch. Needs a little bit more than 100th of a second to jump to what could be pole number 2 for the 4-time winner on the season, 2-time and defending Whelen Modified Tour champion. Ronnie Silk to the checkered flag to close out his qualifying run, and at the stripe he will slow down. Baldwin still remains the fastest with Silk 2nd.
It's interesting, Eric, as you see these drivers, a lot of them really having their money lap on the first lap, and one of the concerns last year was tire fall off with the aging surface. This year, people weren't worried as much about that with the brand new asphalt, but we've seen some fall off from lap 1 to lap 2 with some of the fastest cars out there.
Driver saying this, as we can tell by the stopwatch, is a very fast racetrack, as Kyle Bonsignor proves as such, jumping to 4th. This is the Chalu Performance, MTT, and Munz Auto entry out of Bayshore, New York. Driver who finished 2nd at New Hampshire, trying to better that by 1 spot at the historic facility as he powers his way to the checkers. And Kyle Bonsignor on lap 2 will fall off just a little bit and remain 4th in car number 22 for Kyle Bonsignor.
I don't think that's something that a lot of the teams were really looking for. I think they would count on their 2nd lap to be the fastest. So interesting notes as we continue to build the notebook on a brand new surface for 2024 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Pulling off of turn number 4, here comes car number 23.
Carson Lofton, who is vying for a Smart Modified Championship, and he goes right to the top as he slides way up high in turn 1 after laying down a 17.5 to go to pole for the youngster, making his 5th career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour start and 3rd of 2024. And with that big slide up in turn number 1, lap number 2 will be a tick slower, but with only a few cars left to go, Carson Lofton is going to try to hang on for his first career pole.
Speaking of poles, car number 51, max points night last week, or max points day for the driver who comes into the championship battle, merely 5 markers out of the lead, the 3-time champion. This is Justin Bonsignor.
And Bonsignor will come to the line 2nd by a very narrow margin. He needs 0.03 of a second on lap 2.
Now the trend is slower on lap number 2. Let's see if Justin can buck that trend off of turn number 4. Full throttle right to the line.
Bonsignor will slow down on lap number 2, and his huge fan base up in the tri-state area is going to be watching on to see if he can gather back-to-back wins, even though he's not going to be starting in P1, as we welcome car number 64 out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, with Ron Uhas at the helm. This is the G&G Electrical Supply entry for that of Austin Beers, who won at Lancaster earlier this season. He's also got 2 poles in 2024, both coming at Monadnock.
And Austin Beers picked up the pole last year at this racetrack, goes to the top of the board with a time of 17.486. 17.486 for the 22-year-old as he makes his way off of turn number 4. Another multi-generation driver looking to pick up some speed.
Second lap around for Beers will be a little bit slower, but he's in the 17.4s, and as you mentioned, Andy, could be well on his way to back-to-back poles at North Wilkesboro Speedway with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. But here is another Northampton, Pennsylvania native driving the PD Motorsports number 60, defending winner of this race after starting second last year. Big money Matt Hirschman, who has 99 laps of experience on this racetrack in race conditions yesterday, trying to get Beers for pole.
And Eric, with you mentioning that he raced last night, this was the car that he competed in, so very comfortable with this and a very fast time, but not fast enough to take down the pole.
Needs a little bit of a pickup as he slides the car in the middle of 3 and 4. Hirschman to the line, and at the checkered flag, he will slow down. Our front row is going to look just like it did in 2023, and it will be Austin Beers laying claim to the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award for the second year in a row at North Wilkesboro with Hirschman alongside. What a lightning fast qualifying effort. The racetrack may not look the same as it was last year on the old pavement, but the standings certainly do with that front row. Carson Loft in third, Justin Bonsignor in fourth, and Luke Baldwin with momentum on his side after a great day for the young racer in his career here yesterday, rounding out your top 5.
Then you have Ronnie Silk in 6, Tyler Ribkema in Old Blue number 3, riding in 7th. Kyle Bonsignor will qualify in 8th. Patrick Emmerling, one of the 3 horses who are still in the championship fight for 2024. Interesting stat on Emmerling: if he is to win the race today, he will have to do it from the deepest starting position that anybody's won in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour this year. The deepest anybody's won in the field is from starting position number 8. That was Jake Johnson and Monadnock earlier this year, but Emmerling's going to have to start 9th with Craig Lutz rounding out your top 10 in car number 46.
Rest of the fields, he's Chase Dowling in the number 44 and 11th, Joey Coulter 12th, Ryan Newman in the curb records, and Gary Putnam number 77 was 13th. Tim Connolly, as we mentioned, had to work overtime last night to get that car race ready, 14th. Sam Ramo is going to be fun to watch. He had the big slide on his qualifying effort, going to come from back in 15th spot. Bobby Labonte 16th, Andrew Krause 17th, 18th, the 18 car of Ken Hagee, Christopher Hatton Jr. 19th, and Melissa Fifield, your field, 20 cars strong for the rescheduled running of the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, race number 15 of 16 in 2024.
It's going to be a tight turnaround for this rescheduled race. Of course, this was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago, but due to the devastation of Hurricane Helene, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour postponed the event to coincide with the big weekend that you had last night, or big night that you had last night with the Smart Modified Tour and also the Cars Tour. So it's a big championship feel here, even though it's the second to last race for the 2024 season for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
And I have to say, many fans have stuck out and been able to hang out here for this race that wasn't on the original agenda or plan. And it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Wilkes County as you see the field of cars lined up following qualifying. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we are going to hear from our pole sitter for the second year in a row. Austin Beers will join us on the other side of the break.
Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Qualifying for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour just concluded. Austin Beers will lead us to green this afternoon. Austin, how confident does that qualifying run make you that you guys can pull this one off today?
Oh, it helps a lot. Last night I ran the Smart Tour race here, and track position was really key late in the going. So to start up front, hopefully we can hold it. A lot of pit stops going to happen today. With the amount of cars we have, we might not have as many yellows, but we'll just see how the race plays out.
You mentioned it earlier, you started on the pole here last year and it didn't do much for you. Do you feel more confident given some of the changes that we've had in the off season that this can turn around for you guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. Our pit crew's been stellar all year. We got a penalty last year and there was 30-something cars here, so it was tough to make that up. So definitely, have confidence in my pit crew, confidence in what we're going to do at our pit stop. So pretty happy with how our day's going.
Well, best of luck today, Austin.
Thank you very much.
That's Austin Beers, your pole sitter this afternoon for the Whelen Modified Tour race here at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Thanks, Jesse. And looking at, the difference between last year's speed and this year, 5+ mile-per-hour difference on the new pavement in terms of the pace. And Andy, you and I were just looking at each other. It sounds like from Austin, the team's got a lot of options. They're not sure how this race is going to go.
That's what's great about being a viewer here and commentating this race, too. It's basically a nightmare for the teams because they don't know what to do. Talking with some of the different teams this afternoon, they feel that this racetrack has become faster than New Hampshire Motor Speedway at certain parts because, of course, you go downhill 20 feet going into turn number 1 from where you were in turn number 4. So you're really piling it in. You have seen a lot of drivers wash up the racetrack, Sammy Ramo being one of them, and that's where the tire wear is going to come in. Usually with a new racing surface, you don't have much tire wear, but the way they really are just throwing it into, especially turn number 1 and into turn number 2, you're definitely going to see some tire wear. How many pit stops are you going to see? That's the question. No one really knows. And it's going to be interesting when we get to the latter stages of the race. I really think that the caution flags, whether there are many caution flags, are going to determine what kind of pit strategy that you run. Because if there isn't any tire wear and you're running in, or you've been out for a long time, you don't need to come in for tires if your tire hasn't fallen off that much.
And I think the number of if-then scenarios the teams have all had to individually draft for this race, probably in the dozens in terms of if yellows were to fall and when they could stop. And the options are going to be aplenty, and we're not going to be able to really see what that level of fall-off is until we see the green flag coming up a short way from now. Qualifying went by in an absolute blitz of an amount of time. So let's go back and look at how qualifying unfolded. We just heard from our pole sitter in that of Austin Beers. As you see, the beautiful field that has assembled on the front straightaway.
There's Luke Baldwin, yeah. Ooh.
Oh, he caught the wall coming to the line. I missed that earlier. He ended up 5th. Bonsignor, 4th fastest when all was said and done. He's already got a checkered flag this weekend.
Carson Lofton came off very smooth, picked up a great run. Then there was all eyes on Money Matt Hirschman, just a wee bit shy of the pole, finished in 2nd, but there's the driver that you just saw on screen, 22 years old in his 2nd straight pole here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for Austin Beers in car number 64.
Maybe a new track surface, maybe a much faster racetrack, may drive a lot more differently than what it did 1 year ago. But it is the same result for Austin Beers, who captures himself a wonderful lap there to end up on pole. The driver that bookended the top 5 after what was a career day for him yesterday, Luke Baldwin, is standing by with Jesse.
That's right, Luke Baldwin winning the Smart Modified Tour Championship here yesterday. Congratulations, first of all, on that win. And now today being a big day because you're making your tour debut in the 7NY, a huge car, huge history for your family. What does this mean for you this entire weekend as a whole?
Man, it's really cool just kind of being able to do it all as a family. My dad and my mom, my brother being here yesterday and getting to experience it, and then now today I get to drive the 7NY for the first time on the tour, 2nd tour start. But yeah, it's a really cool weekend. Hopefully we can keep the momentum rolling and be there at the end and keep the car in one piece.
Well, this is only your 2nd tour start, but I have to imagine winning here last night, that championship gives you a little bit of confidence heading into today. Where's the mindset going into this afternoon?
Just kind of the same as always. I always want to go out and win. It's these guys around me got a lot of experience. They've been racing with each other for a long time, so gonna try to gain some respect out there, do what I need to do to keep it clean. But at the end of the day, there's a lot I'll do for a win. So we'll race hard, but the goal's the same. I'm hitting myself a little bit for a mistake in qualifying. bent the right front suspension a little bit, but shouldn't be anything too big. So should have a fast car tonight, or well, today I should say. But yeah, I'm just gonna do what I can to win at the end of the day. That's the main goal.
Always looking for a win, but gaining respect is a good way to play this, Luke. Best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
That's Luke Baldwin running that 7 in Y. He's rolling off 5th here this afternoon.
Thanks, Jesse, and I agree with exactly what you said there at the tail end. The approach of that 18-year-old driver who is on cloud 9 right now over the course of the last 24 hours and still prioritizing gaining the respect of his competitors with the opportunity to wheel the 7NY out of his family stable that has been synonymous with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for several years. But he mentioned the brush with the wall, and Andy, we saw this on the replay a little bit. It was a pretty good hit.
It's significant, and you'll watch it on your screen off of turn number 4. He didn't even really lose the race car. He just misjudged turn number 4, swung back across the racetrack. It only affected his lap by about a half a second, and Luke Baldwin, again, wise beyond his years, wins a championship. You're 18 years old. You win a championship, your first big touring championship. You have a last name that's synonymous with success here in racing. It's a night that you might want to celebrate. Nope, you can't, because you have a big night or a big day ahead the next day, and you make sure you get 7 hours sleep and you go out there with the goal of racing to earn respect. Wise beyond his years, Luke Baldwin.
And he'll be doing that from P5. Qualifying in the books for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. All that is up next is the race. We'll step aside and we'll be back for opening ceremonies and the green flag. The 2024 Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 from North Wilkesboro, live on Flow Racing.
Welcome back to North Wilkesboro, the penultimate race for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Ron Silk in this number 16 enters this afternoon 5 points to the good as the points leader. Now, Ron is the defending champion, and I just talked to him. He's incredibly confident. He says, we came off a third place finish last week, and we've been moving and grooving. Don't let our finishes determine, what you guys feel about where our confidence is. They did qualify 6th today. They have a little bit of ground to make up, and he says this race is going to be completely different than what we saw last year, given the repave. Tire wear is going to be a little different. The golden question for everyone, when to change the tires, when will the cautions fall? But despite all of those differences in a 6th place qualifying effort, this 16 team feels incredibly confident heading into this afternoon.
The field of cars are assembled on the front straightaway for the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 for the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's introduce you to our starting lineup. We'll turn it over to public address announcers Lenny Baticki and Tim Packman for driver introductions.
If you will please direct your attention towards turn number 4. We'll start out with our 20th place qualifier in the 01 from Wakefield, New Hampshire, Melissa Fifield. From Ormond Beach, Florida, the driver of the 09, qualifying 19th, Chris Hatton Jr.
Starting 18th in the number 18, Ken Hagee from Calverton, New York. Inside, the number 24, Andrew Krause from Holmdel, New Jersey.
Qualifying 16th from Corpus Christi, Texas. Let's welcome the driver of the 38, Bobby Labonte. And from Westminster, Massachusetts, qualifying 15th in the 06, Sam Ramo.
Starting 14th, the number 4 from Endicott, New York, Tim Conley. To his inside, the number 77, the Rocket Man himself, Ryan Newman from South Bend, Indiana.
Qualifying 12th, the driver of the 02 from Miami Springs, Florida. This is Joey Coulter. Alongside of him from Roxbury, Connecticut, the driver of the 44, qualifying 11th, Chase Dowling.
Starting 10th, the number 46 from Miller Place, New York, Craig Lutz. And starting 9th, in the number 1 from Orchard Park, New York, Patrick Emmerling.
Side by side in row number 4, qualifying 8th to the 22 car from Bay Shore, New York. This is Kyle Bonsignor. And from Owego, New York, alongside in the 3 car, Tyler Repkema.
From Norwalk, Connecticut, in the number 16, starting 6th, Ron Silk. And starting 5th, from Mooresville, North Carolina, the newly crowned Smart Tour Modified Champion, Luke Baldwin.
Collecting the Whelen Winner of the Race Award, the driver of the number 51, also collecting the driver of the Hoosier Tire Lap Leader Award from the last event of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Driver of the 51, qualifying 4th from Holtsville, New York, Justin Bonsignor. And alongside of him from Lexington, North Carolina, the youngster in the 23 machine. Let's welcome Carson Lofton.
And now your front row. Starting outside, pole position from Northampton, Pennsylvania, the number 60, Money Matt Hirschman. Also from Northampton, Pennsylvania, your pole winner in the number 64, that will be Austin Beers.
Congratulations to all of those drivers. And now, with our invocation and national anthem, providing our invocation, the folks from
Racing with Jesus Ministries, that'll be Don Rivers, and our anthem will be Sarah Cullen.
Let us pray. Our Father, we are blessed. Much like the resurrection of your Son, this place has been resurrected, and we get a day to come out here and play. Lord, we thank you for everyone connected with bringing this track back and giving us the opportunity to race on it. Lord, we're thankful for the outpouring of support for this area of the country that was devastated just a few short weeks ago. And we ask that you would continue to look over the families and the communities that are trying to piece their lives back together, and that you would raise up volunteers to come and help. And we thank you for that. And that spirit is found in the men and women who protect the freedoms that we enjoy, and we ask you to look over them also. But today we ask you to look over these drivers, these teams, these competitors, and everyone connected with this race, and even these fans. Lord, put your hand of protection upon us, cover our backs, and see us safely home. For we give you thanks and praise in Jesus' precious and holy name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
National anthem, and it'll be a few moments or so before we get everybody in, get the drivers strapped in and set. But we want to introduce you to our honorary starter from Brushy Mountain Powersports, the general manager, Dakota Flynn.
An absolutely beautiful rendition of our national anthem and the invocation as well to set the tone on how this race ended up on this day. Now the second to last race wasn't the original agenda for the North Wilkesboro stop on the Whelen Modified Tour in 2024, but now it will be race 15 of 16 for this year's NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour season here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And we heard it mentioned in the invocation, Andy, the reason why this race is where it is today is because of the devastating impacts of the Hurricane Helene that came through this region of the country, and the many members of the tour have stepped up in a very big way.
The devastation of Hurricane Helene was felt throughout the entire United States, and while the North versus the South rivalry has been played up over the years, when in need, we are one big family. There you see the hauler of Ron Silk. Teams from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour brought down supplies from the Northeast to North Wilkesboro to assist with hurricane relief efforts, as the Speedway has been a distribution point since early October, and the overflowing supplies that were donated as a result. As you can see the footage, you can see the charcoal, you can see the diapers, you can see all of the supplies that you just need to live. Paper towels, toilet paper, just some needs, and all coming together for a great cause.
And the teams continue to express their thoughts, best wishes, and many continue to donate additional items for those who were impacted by the devastation in this region. We're going to step aside as drivers are strapping into their cars. The command to fire engines coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on Flow. field is gridded up and the drivers are strapping into their race cars for the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And Andy, qualifying is already in the books, and this race is already starting to play out very similar to what we saw last year.
Different racetrack with the surface, but the same result. Austin Beers on the pole, and to his outside, the driver who won last year, but also has partaken in a few exhibition races in his 3 open wheel attempts. Matt Hirschman has an average finish of 1.7. Can anybody beat him this afternoon? We're going to find out with our 150-lap race.
The subplot is the car starting behind him is the opposite order they came to the checkered flag in what was a 99-lap Smart Modified Tour sanctioned event that was held here, the Southern Regional Tour type series for these type of race cars. And it was Justin Bonsignor who got the win with Hirschman right on the back Nerf bar as they were coming to the checkered flag. The championship picture has been painted. Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignor, your top 3. Only thing left to do is get the engines fired. We're going to turn it over trackside to get the command.
And now to the start-finish line. And Julian and Brielle Lackey, the daughters of Chris and Alexis Lackey, the owners of Brushy Mountain Powersports, for the words we've been waiting for.
Start. I love it when the kids just re-energize us as race fans and get these big horsepower race cars off to an amazing start. 20 firing up for the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 second annual event and the second to last event before the championship. Matter of fact, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Championship will be decided within this week as the race happens at Martinsville on Saturday. This the penultimate, easy for me to say, penultimate event leading up to the championship week for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Still anybody's race. Ronnie Silk comes in with a 5-point advantage, and points will cascade at 1 apiece. 43 for the win, 42 for second, 41 for third. But there's a way that they can pick up some extra points and really max things out, which is exactly what Justin Bonsignor was doing last week.
We're going to be crunching the numbers all day long to see how that championship finale is going to be sized up. Earlier on today, we got to witness right here on Flow, qualifying for the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award. And for the second year in a row, a familiar name makes up not only the pole, but the front row as well. And we're going to take a glaze at our starting lineup. As Andy mentioned, 20 cars strong, and the front row being made up of a couple of drivers who have had much success already this season, and that of Austin Beers, who has a win in 2024, alongside of Matt Hirschman, who has also gone to victory lane in his partial schedule this season.
Next up, we have Carson Lofton making his 3rd start of the 2024 season here for the Whelen Modified Tour. To the outside, coming in position number 2, Justin Bonsignor, last week's winner at Thompson Speedway. Car number 51 starts 4.
Row number 3, Luke Baldwin. We heard from him earlier with Jesse Punch. He's coming off what has been a tremendous weekend so far. Caught the wall in qualifying. We'll be watching that race car. And on the outside, Ron Silk. 5 points is the deficit between he and second place in points, Justin Bonsignor. It'll be Silk in 6th.
Oh, it's the old blue number 3, Tyler Ripken, behind the wheel of that legendary car today. And to the outside is Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22.
Patrick Emerling's got a shot at the title. He's 21 points back. He needs a big afternoon here. He'll be starting back in 9th alongside of Craig Lutz, trying to break through to victory lane for the first time this season. He'll be starting in 10th spot.
Lutz coming off a great run last week as well. Next row has Chase Dowling in car number 44. He spent time in the top 5 last week at Thompson. And also Joey Coulter on the outside, making his 2nd start of the year in the Whelen Modified Tour, car number 02.
Ryan Newman takes the wheel to the bike curb, and Gary Putnam, number 77, 3rd start of the season, 2nd with this race team, alongside 9-time Whelen Modified Tour winner Tim Connolly in the 4.
He has a ton of experience here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. To the inside of the next row, car number 06, the driver who wants to hang it out wide here. Watch for him in turns number 1 and 2. That's Sammy Ramo in the 06, followed by Bobby Labonte in the 38s.
Multi-time track champion at Wall Stadium Speedway, Andrew Krause going to drop to the tail end of the field. He's scheduled to start alongside of Whelen Modified Tour legend of 30 years strong, Ken Hagee. And rounding out the field is scheduled to be that of Christopher Hatton Jr. and Melissa Fifield as the field continues on their parade of pace laps with Krause dropping to the back of the field. Let's get one pre-race report real quick. Here's Jesse Punch trackside.
Yeah, guys, as you laid out, Patrick Emmerling in that one car enters this race third in the points, 21 points back. So he's gonna have to get something done today if he wants to keep himself in this championship battle. I talked to him just before he got in the car. I said, how much of a Hail Mary are you willing to play today to make it happen? He said, look, well, I guess we'll have to see. All I know is that I'm trying to get up there, and he pointed up to that beautiful, historic, raised victory lane. So, will we see the one car in victory lane for the 4th time this season? I guess we'll have to find out.
Jesse, that's a great point. Winning at North Wilkesboro Speedway is an experience of its own as we are one lap away from the green flag. And Andy, that's something that's been a chatter throughout the pit area. Of course, the championship's on everyone's mind, but riding that elevator to victory lane, that's something that may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of these drivers.
Whether you had experience in a cup car like Bobby Labonte or you're 18 years old and you're Luke Baldwin, each one of those drivers pointed to that raised victory lane and riding the elevator. We have 150 laps to decide at the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Austin Beers from the inside of the front row with last year's winner, Matt Hirschman in car number 60. 20 cars roar to life off of turn number 4. We're underway.
Beers going to get the jump on the pole. Hirschman's going to try to cross him under, and they're side by side for the lead on the backstretch, entering turn number 3 at full song with Hirschman on the bottom. Beers up top off of turn number 4. Lap 1 to last year's winner, Matt Hirschman.
And you can feel the draft already starting to come into factor as they enter turn number 1, full song, nearly 150 miles an hour. And now single file going into turn number 3. Justin Bonsignor rides in third. And car number 23 moves up to 4th. That's Carson Lofton.
Big moment there off the corner for Bonsignor as he and Lofton almost got together. They almost touch again in turns 1 and 2. That's Bonsignor on the bottom, inside in the white 51. Outside, Carson Lofton defends the spot in the red 23.
With championships coming down to a single point. First, Kyle Bonsignor, a little bit out of shape. Car number 23 still under full power, but losing a bunch of time. He falls back just a little bit, right in front of Joey Coulter. Now eyes on Austin Beers in car number 64. Beers right down low. Bonsignor right behind him, trying to get to the front. Remember, last week at Thompson, he picked up an extra point by leading the most laps. You never know when that point is going to make a difference in your championship hopes. Say he wins by 1 championship point after Martinsville next week. That's where the point could have possibly come from.
Now it is up to Silk to try to get by another young gun in the field. In fact, 2 of our youngest drivers in the field, nose to tail, and Lofton up top in the 23. That's Silk and the silver 16 on the inside trying to get by. And he knows there's now a 1-car buffer between he and Bonsignor in terms of the top 2 in the championship. While the race stays green, we've seen Andrew Krause and Melissa Fifield come to the pit area under green flag conditions. Keep you abreast as if they rejoin the race. The top 3 tighten back up off 2.
This is really starting to look like Darlington through turns number 1 and 2. You'll watch the drivers next time wash up the racetrack, nearly touch the wall between 1 and 2. Austin Beers takes a peek to the inside, gets back on the back bumper of the PD Motorsports number 60, but all 3 drivers again washing up a little bit, but getting a great bite off of turn number 2. Here comes Justin Bonsignor.
That's something that's been a bit of a theme all weekend long here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Perfecting the art of the middle of turns 1 and 2, getting a late apex from the center off, and being able to drive up alongside the competition like Bonsignor just did a lap ago. He'll try the same move on Hirschman off 2, and he closes up to the back Nerf bar at the 60.
No big surprise, Eric, that some of the drivers who ran or are running in the top 5 early on all had experience last night on this brand new surface. And here's the battle for the lead. Justin Bonsignor wasting no time, nearly touching the number 60 of Matt Hirschman, and they'll go at it again at a turn number 3.
Just as we saw 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, these 2 battling for the top spot at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and the whole pack is starting to accordion back together now that the top 2 are fighting for the lead.
Is Justin going to try the outside? No. A mini crossover move. He gets the whole shot going into turn number 3. They're side by side. Put the 51 to the lead off of turn number 4.
Hirschman trying to fight back on the outside, and at the stripe, Bonsignor is going to lead that lap by half a car length and cement the lead, sliding up in front of the bow of the 60 in turn 1, while Hirschman cuts the car back to the inside.
Lap number 11 shows that Justin Bonsignor goes to the lead. And much like Matt Hirschman, they raced here last night. The difference being the PD Motorsports number 60 was the actual car that raced last night, where Justin racing a different number 51 here this afternoon. But same result for the driver who picked up the win last night and took the ride in the elevator.
Now it's up to Hirschman to try to hold on to second by that of the pole sitter, Austin Beers, who's hounding the backside of Hirschman down the front straightaway. And since Bonsignor was able to get sole possession of the race lead, the pack of cars that were starting to gather behind him kind of got spread out a little bit as Silk looks to the inside of Lofton for fourth.
Ronnie Silk can waste zero time. He comes into this race with a 5-point advantage, and throughout the afternoon, we'll be keeping an eye on the trending points as it sits right now. Ronnie Silk still the point leader, but just by 1 or 2 markers. Think of this. They started the season in February at New Smyrna, and they're only a handful of points apart, and something tells me the way these two drivers have been running all year, we're going to go into the championship race separated by 2 or 3 points, maybe even closer.
Silk and Lofton still side by side as Beers trying to get by Hirschman for second, but to no avail. Lofton's doing a great job trying to make that high line work as Silk starts to edge out in front off of corner 4. One of the most amazing stats coming into this race in terms of that championship battle. The top 2 in Silk and Bonsignor, even though there's a 5-point separation, they both have the same exact average finish with 4.4. Bonsignor trying to better that as he is out in front of this field, and Silk was able to get by the youngster in Lofton for sole possession of fourth.
Many would call Tyler Ripkema a youngster, but now 27 years of age, not the new kid on the block anymore. Right in front of him is the driver who is third-generation racer Luke Baldwin, who last night picked up a championship in the Smart Modified Tour. Did not celebrate. Think of you as 18-year-old you. You win a big race championship. What do? Well, you celebrate till the wee hours of the morning. No, not 18-year-old Luke Baldwin. He made sure he got 7 hours sleep last night, and out here trying to earn respect amongst the drivers in the Whelen Modified Tour. Guy's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a fast race car and swings up right in front of Tyler Ripkema. Nearly lost it that time.
Trying to cut the car down to the bottom to get that good drive off turn 2, and the back end just would not cooperate as Ripkema now tries to stick a wheel to the inside. They just about touch at the start-finish line. Ripkema still committed to the bottom with Patrick Emmerling watching on.
Patrick Emmerling needs something to happen, and he needs it to happen sometime in the next half an hour to 45 minutes. He comes into this race 21 points out of the point lead. He entered the championship chat somewhere in the middle of August. He came out of nowhere, won 3 races out of 5, and didn't have an off week last night, but compared to those stats in August and September, did fall back just a little bit. Again, comes in about 21 points out, needs to have the drivers in front of him have a really, really tough day. But if you look at the stats of the Whelen Modified Tour, Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk, they only have 1 finish outside of the top 10 between the 2 of them this year. That is how consistent they've been. And in a division that just craves consistency, 1 wreck at Richmond Speedway where he finished 22nd might have taken Patrick Emmerling out of the championship back in February.
Back up to the battle for second. Here's Hirschman still fending off Austin Beers. We mentioned last year's race, albeit on the older surface. These were the 2 drivers that essentially dominated that race, leaving a large portion of last year's running of this event. Now they find themselves a little bit further behind that of race leader Justin Bonsignor by the tune of about 3/4 of a second. The gap from Bonsignor to Hirschman, with Beers, Silk, and Carson Lofton rounding out your top 5. With 25 laps complete, we are 1/5 of the way through this race.
You know, talking to Justin this afternoon, or actually this morning as we have an early afternoon race, Justin said, yeah, we have a different race car here today, but I still learned a lot last night, even though where I learned more last night than I thought I was going to learn as far as racing at night versus racing during the daytime. Usually there isn't a lot of crossover. He said the X factor is the fact that there is brand new pavement in 2024, and the new pavement kind of washes out any sort of racetrack temperature change. It's going to be pretty consistent throughout the day and the night, so they felt pretty confident about the race car, and he's doing exactly what he has to do. That's go out there and lead off laps. Yeah, one driver sideways off of turn number 2.
And that is the 06 of Sammy Ramo, who had quite the moment in turns 1 and 2 at qualifying earlier today. And now the car has stepped out on him to draw the first caution flag of the race. Ramo's going to get the car refired and righted. It was right in front of the leaders that we were able to see the Westminster, Massachusetts native go around off the second corner in what is his 3rd start of 2024.
Let's check out the replay. Here he goes off of turn number 2. Looking at the 06 of Sammy Ramo just out to the on the right side of your screen. Looks like he just got in the throttle a little too quick.
Lost it all by himself off the second turn to slow this field for the first time and crack open the bottle of strategic options for these race teams. Andy, we've been talking about it all day long. They've got 8 change tires available. They could only change 2 per caution period. We've heard some drivers and teams say we're going to see a bunch of stops, and almost like Darlington. If a yellow comes out, come in and get fresh rubber. Others say track position means more. This is going to be our first litmus test as to what some of these teams have in mind.
What's going to be interesting about this is if you thought you were going to get greedy by coming in, changing 2 tires, realizing it's going to be a long caution flag, and then come in and change the other 2 tires, that doesn't happen. When we say 2 tires per caution, that's it. And NASCAR officials are watching too. So you have to be certainly on your game here. Tire fall off not going to be a major deal, much like it was last year with the old racing surface, but will there be any fake outs here?
A little bit of trickery throughout the top 5, and the first taker maybe was going to be that of Tyler Ripkema. He thought better of it, and it's going to be Luke Baldwin who's the first to dive to the pit lane under this first yellow flag that flies after the spin by Sammy Ramo off turn 2.
So he's going to be the guinea pig in this one. If Luke Baldwin and everybody on pit road is watching this, if the 7 car suddenly picks up 6 or 7 spots in the first 10 laps when we go green, that is a piece of note or something that you can put in the notebook that a lot of teams are going to use if we get a late race caution. So if I'm Patrick Emmerling and I'm in 8th place, and 8th place is all I'm going to get with the tires that I have, and there's already a notebook built where a guy like Luke Baldwin came in and used the fresh rubber to his advantage and picked up a bunch of spots, I'm going to take that, I'm going to throw that Hail Mary. That's something that we've used a number of times here this afternoon. Emmerling's going to be the driver that needs to do it, but here we go into turn number 3.
So the first trip around was for cars that wanted to top off on fuel. Here comes the rest of the field, and we see many teams with tires up on the wall after just 25 laps of green flag competition, 30 laps in the books now. Justin Bonsignor, the race leader, leading everyone down to the pit lane. Remember, Bonsignor lost the lead last week, and Thompson, after a problem on pit road, battled back to win the race. The team is going to try to execute to perfection here to keep the lead if possible.
So I misspoke on that one. Is that consistent with all the caution flags where the first lap under caution, it's only for drivers that want to top off fuel? Okay,
that's what it appears. the 7NY came in for tires as well.
Because I built up the whole story and like, wow, look at that. And it turns out he was just topping off. All right. Well, that's all right. People are going to be taking a big note on what we have here and whether they're going to pick up their lap times here in the next 10 laps once the green flag flies again. No major change on the racetrack. You have the 51 of Justin Bonsignor, followed by the number 60 of Matt Hirschman. Then there's Austin Beers, your top 3. But one driver stays out. That is Chris Hatton out of Ormond Beach, Florida, in the Generac number 09. And lights are out on the pace car. But no, we're still, the Whelen caution lights are still on.
So Hatton was in fact a lap down, so he may be waiting for the free pass to get up to and by the pace car. I believe Chase Dowling is going to inherit the lead by virtue of being the only car that did not stop on this wave of pit road being open for the first time on this first yellow. All the while, the number 77 of Ryan Newman has come back in to top off on fuel as well.
And Newman wasn't very happy with his race car. He said the short run was really, really good. If they could get something better on the long run, then they would really have something for the field this afternoon. But an extra stop for Newman might pay dividends later on. And with Chase Dowling as the driver who didn't stop, he's going to be the guinea pig to see if the rubber actually stays.
We're getting word that the race leader coming in did in fact take fuel only in that of Justin Bonsignor, who cycles out unofficially into the 4th position. Behind that of Dowling, Hirschman, Austin Beers, then Bonsignor and Silk, 4th and 5th respectively. Once Hatton gets waved around the pace car, and now Dowling appears to be signaling that he's going to come this time through. So what we're being told is that the first batch of cars that came down the pit lane early, evidently, they came down a little bit too early. They're going to be pushed to the back of the field as they come to the one-to-go signal this time by. So Luke Baldwin, Ryan Newman, Sammy Ramo were a couple of those cars that were on the pit lane the first time as Hatton gets the free pass, and they come to the line here to double up for the restart. So with Dowling ducking to the pit lane, the final time through, they're still changing tires on the Roxbury, Connecticut natives number 44 car as the lights are out on the pace car and they're on the back straightaway getting set for the restart, and Dowling's going to be able to break away just in time. And they're going to extend this caution by at least 1 lap.
And it looks like Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22 also took some tires as well. Yeah, Dowling picks up the back of the field, which puts Austin Beers up in front in car number 64. So it's a reboot, if you will, of the initial start where you have Beers on the inside and then Hirschman up in the second position. 51 of Justin Bonsignor in 3rd, but up to 4th, sneakily up to 4th is Ronnie Silk.
Championship points battle coming down to the final 2 races. Top 2 in points side by side in row number 2 for this restart.
One thing that's important in the championship battle, remember Justin Bonsignor has led a lap, Ronnie Silk hasn't, so there's an extra point for the 51 as the separation looks like it's unofficially 3 points right now. That's just us doing simple math. Of course, NASCAR keeps a better handle on that than we do. But Bonsignor will restart from 3rd, Silk from 4th, looking for the green flag in the Geico restart zone off of turn number 4.
Austin Beers brings us back down for the restart as they come to the line to complete lap 36. We're back underway with Beers trying to slide up, but not quite clear of Hirschman off the corner, who's got a great run off turn 2. Does the 60 car.
That's all it took for him to really get a good run through turns number 3 and 4. He keeps the speed up. Here comes Bonsignor on the inside. They'll drag it back to the start-finish line. Beers will nip Hirschman at the line for the lead back into turn number 1.
Hirschman's not giving up, though, up in that top groove in turns 1 and 2. What great racing at the head of the field amongst the 2 drivers who led us to the green flag just like this, with Beers the leader, Hirschman second. Hirschman running way wide off turn 4, and it's almost a dead heat at the line.
They nearly touch tires going into treacherous turn number 1. You'll see both drivers swing wide. They stay off of each other, which is a testament to their talents, and they'll try it again in turn number 3. Remember that you're going uphill towards or off of turn number 2 to turn number 3. That's the way this track was built. When they were building North Wilkesboro Speedway in the 40s, they ran out of money in trying to make it even. So you'll go downhill 20 feet, head into turn number 1 where you carry a big run of speed, nearly 150 miles an hour, and then when you pull off of turn number 2, you're going uphill for a while, which certainly messes up your entry if you're not careful getting into turn 3.
Chris Hatton Jr. was off the pace. He got back to the pit area safely. Bonsignor up to second around Austin Beers. Looked inside, looked outside, going to try inside again off turn 4. Here comes Justin Bonsignor. Set the pace in the early stanza of this race and wants to do it again. Not quite clear in the middle of the corner. Can he slide up in front of Hirschman? He leaves the door open.
And Beers is riding his tire tracks as they work their way through turns number 3 and 4. Justin Bonsignor, and in this championship battle, it seems like whoever is the chaser, whenever they are on offense, they are at their best. Earlier in the year, it was Ronnie Silk when he muscled the point lead away from Justin Bonsignor. Now the tables have turned and 51 shows the way, 16 shows the way. 51's chasing down, Silk in 4th, but back to the lead. It's Justin Bonsignor off of turn number 2.
Here's Beers trying to set up Hirschman. Got that late apex off the second corner, but couldn't get enough of a run to be able to make that move down the backstretch.
Out of the picture is a driver that you really want to keep an eye on, who had a great pit stop, is Luke Baldwin. Baldwin is making his way through the field. He is slicing his way up through the top 10, currently behind car number 23. just outside the top 5. Luke Baldwin's going to go down to the inside as they battle in turn number 4. There he is on your screen with Patrick Emmerling right behind him. They're going to be side by side off the corner, so whatever adjustments Luke Baldwin made during that caution flag, they are paying dividends, because remember, he went to the back of the pack for pitting too early.
These two very good friends off the racetrack, the 7 of Luke Baldwin, the 23 of Carson Lofton. They're part of a generational family of racing team, as Baldwin slides off of turn 4. Emmerling now changing lanes, maybe to try to follow Carson Lofton through, or maybe he may look to dip inside the 2 of them as this fight continues in 3.
I really feel for Patrick Emmerling at this point. He needs something to happen in that 1. He can't win the championship this afternoon. Nobody can really win the championship, but Patrick Emmerling certainly can lose the championship. The drivers that he is chasing are a half dozen spots ahead of him, and with the drivers ahead of him running side by side, he wants to get around both of them, gain those 1-2 points. It was close, and boy, Lofton gets out of shape.
Emmerling was trying to get up and around Melissa Fifield. It was a little bit slower on the bottom of the racetrack and had a decision to make, and that was to dart up high, kicking Lofton up into the marbles.
And then there's Craig Lutz entering your picture in car number 46. Lutz with that red car swings wide. One driver goes down to his inside as we watch Luke Baldwin back into turn number 1. Last night, a champion. Talked to Luke this afternoon and asked him if he had any memories of his grandfather, Tom Baldwin, racing modifieds. He wasn't old enough to experience that, but due to the beauty of YouTube, has gone back and watched a lot of his grandfather's racing. And that legendary number 7 continuing the tradition coming up through the field.
Third of the way through this race for the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Justin Bonsignor leads. Battles continuing all throughout the top 10. The margin between Bonsignor and Hirschman a little under half a second, with Hirschman second, Beers third, and Ronnie Silk in fourth, with the points looking to take a pretty big swing should the running order stay as it is, with now under 100 laps to go.
As it runs right now, Justin Bonsignor, not only the leader on the racetrack, but as a result of leading these laps and where Ronnie Silk is on the racetrack, we have a brand new points leader, the trending point leader. That's how close the Whelen Modified Tour is in 2024. Ronnie Silk came in with a 5-point advantage. The swing is now 3 to the good for Justin Bonsignor, who leads Matt Hirschman off of turn number 2. Amazing, and both of these drivers so calm and collected, at least perceptibly calm and collected. If I were running for a championship on the level of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, I would be coming out of my tree. But these guys both have a been there, done that mentality. They've been there, done that with each other so many times this year. And I asked Ronnie, so when was the last time you talked to Justin and you weren't at the racetrack? And he was very quick to point out when that was, and it was a couple of months ago. So he said, you know, we're good until we're not, like a lot of friendships in life. And these drivers just happen to have a major racing championship between the two of them if they're trying. Can you imagine your best friend, and you're running your best friend for the championship, and week in, week out, you guys get into it. And you can't just say, it's my buddy. Maybe for the first 2 or 3 times. But when you do this week in and week out, year in, year out, patients are going to run thin. And you've certainly seen them boiled over a number of times, even in just this past summer. So the amount of personal time that Justin and Ron spend together has really dwindled as they have focused on winning this championship this year.
Just look at the gap between your top 3, Bonsignor, Hirschman, and Beers. They've pretty much broken away from Ronnie Silk, who holds down 4. Tyler Ripkema still rounding out the top 5. I got to catch up with Matt Hirschman earlier this morning, kind of picking his brain a little bit about how this venue raced. He's someone whose experience in a tour-type modified goes back to 2022, won one of the portions of the racetrack revival as Ripkema gets right to the back Nerf bar of Silk in that battle for 4th. That 3 car is cornering very well in the center of the corner, and we'll keep our eyes on this battle. But to close off my thought on Hirschman, he said, it's still fun to race here, but it's fast, very fast. He's looking forward to when this track starts to develop a little bit of age to it, and some additional character, and provide some of these competitors to maybe be a little bit more lenient on the throttle. but obviously he still has figured out how to get around here quickly.
You know, Eric, it reminds me of the Darlington repave around 2012, 2013, when it was just so fast for the Cup cars, for the Xfinity cars. And Modifieds experiencing the same thing here at North Wilkesboro. How about that Tyler Ripkema automobile? He joined this team a couple of races ago after Jake Johnson left the team after a hard crash at Thompson Speedway. He is back in school and furthering his education. So the seat was open. Tyler Ripkema jumped in, has had some pretty decent results. They've had a fast race car, but haven't had the finishes that they feel that they are, well, worthy of. You might have that here this afternoon. Teased out a little 2025. He said the plan is to stay in this race car, and he wants to continue to develop with one of the most storied teams in all of NASCAR across all the divisions. You know, you build on the heritage in all of the world that we live in now, where race cars are wrapped week in and week out, and you get a little tire mark, and well, we have a whole new wrap for you. That car is still hand painted.
And one car that is absolutely struggling right now is that of Ronnie Silk. He's back to 7th and under pressure from Chase Dowling, and that means that the deficit in terms of the standings, with Silk unofficially losing the points lead as things stand right now, with Bonsignor leading, that margin is going to continue to grow the further back in the field that Silk falls. I'm sure he desperately would like to see a caution flag, if at all possible, to give them a chance to make some adjustments. Dowling now trying to set him up. And again, this is for 7th position while Bonsignor parades the field.
One thing that I've noticed about Ronnie Silk is he's trying to run the bottom side, which a lot of drivers have kind of thrown out the window today, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that his car is not handling well at all. He was as high as 3rd, now battling with Dowling for that position just outside of the top 5 as they go around the Melissa Fifield ride. Here comes Dowling to the high side. He'll take a peek down low. Ronnie Silk, and there's still a lot of time in this race. We have 83 laps to go. If there is a driver in the field that can weather this storm, it is Ronnie Silk. And I talked to him earlier this afternoon, and I said, well, what happens when the bottom falls out? I mean, you're always cool, calm, and collected, but let's take Monadnock, for example. And there have been multiple times when he was at the Monadnock Speedway where he was involved in a lap 2 crash, and he had to make 5 pit stops just to stay on the lead lap. I'm like, how do you stay cool during that? He says, well, that is really... you know, that's where you have to earn the reputation. You know, it's easy to be cool when you're running in the top 5 and contending for wins every single week. But when you have an afternoon like that, that's where you really solidify your reputation. And your patience is certainly being tested, much like Ronnie Silk's is this afternoon. Because even though he's on the lead lap, even though he's inside the top 10, it's not nearly where he wants to be. He's almost back in Patrick Emmerling land. Actually, no, excuse me. Emmerling's ahead of him on the racetrack. The number 1 car up inside the top 5. But Ronnie Silk not having a great afternoon as we go back to the battle for 2nd.
For more on Ronnie Silk and his struggles, let's go to Jesse Punch.
Yeah, guys, you'll notice Silk falling back positions here. I just touched base with the team. Crew Chief Phil Moran didn't seem too concerned. He said they are having a bit of an issue with the handling of the race car, but overall, seemed pretty cool as a cucumber down here. So I guess we'll have to see if that 16 team has an opportunity to bring this in and hopefully fix those handling issues as they continue to fall back in the point standings.
You know, that does not surprise me at all, and thank you very much, Jesse. Ronnie Silk, Phil Moran, that entire team, as cool as they do come. So when they do have these perceptive storms, they're going to be able to weather them by making an adjustment on the pit stop. Now, you saw Tyler Ripken make a great adjustment on the pit stop and gain some positions. He's up inside the top 5. Another driver who looks like he's having a solid, consistent afternoon. Not too flashy, but you don't need to be flashy with 76 laps to go, and that is Patrick Emmerling. Another driver who could have hit the panic button on lap number 10 when you were mired in the 8th or 9th position. He's up to 5th.
This is Emmerling trying to get 4th position from Tyler Ripkema right now. As this race hits the halfway point, 75 laps down, 75 more to go in the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 with Bonsignor the leader. This is Emmerling in the 1 trying to get around Ripkema in the 3. 4th position up for grabs as this race continues its green flag feel since the restart on lap 35.
If momentum is anything, Justin Bonsignor has it, but second in command would be Patrick Emmerling. or his 3 wins all happened after June the 1st, and he literally just charged right into the championship battle. Comes in a long shot, 21 points out, and he's certainly in the 20s behind Justin Bonsignor right now. Probably within the upper teens on Ronnie Silk as that continues to flesh itself out. So mathematically, he'll go into Martinsville with a chance at the championship, but he really needs big things to happen here this afternoon. He's the driver who needs to win. He needs to get the 3-point bonus for the win. He needs to lead all the laps to get the 1-point bonus. But right now, that's going to Justin Bonsignor in that 51.
Battle for second, left side of your frame as Beers rips the bottom. They work their way around the 18 of Ken Hagee's car on the front stretch. And that battle for fourth, right side of your frame with Bonsignor well into the tail end of the lead lap field, just up the road of the 2 you see on the left side. Hirschman nursing about a 2-car length advantage. It'll be 70 to go next time by. Hirschman appears committed to the top, while Beers is more willing to try to get that car to wrap the white line on the inside of 3 and 4. Now we'll take a different approach to turn number 1 as they get up to the backside of Sammy Ramo, who just fell a lap off the leaders.
I'm really surprised to see Ramo have the run that he is. He was strong last night. Of course, it was a drama-filled race for the Smart Modified Tour. Now, here in the Whelen Modified Tour, the cars are, again, Tour-type modified, so not much difference, a little difference in the rules. So some drivers who raced last night, racing with the same car they entered last night with. Ramo, not even the case, racing with a different team. Austin Beers now has a great shot off of turn number 4. He's really pulling off the corner.
These two have been virtually inseparable since the drop of the green flag. Started on the front row together, and here's Beers again trying to get that late apex cut off of turn number 2. The closest battle for position on the racetrack right now is for the runner-up spot. Beers with another look down low. Can't make it happen, and this is happening about 1 full second behind Bonsignor.
I was talking with Beers earlier today, and he said you really set up the middle of turns 1 and 2 at about the start-finish line because you're carrying so much speed going into the corner that you have to actually roll out of the throttle earlier than you want so you can jump on the throttle quicker off of turn number 2, and you have to set up turn number 3 differently than you do 1 because, as you can see on the camera, you're going uphill slightly, about 20 feet by the time you get back to turn number 3, and boy, now he's going to try to use the lap car of Joey Coulter as the pick. Here we go off of turn number 4. Beers can't get there. It's still Hirschman back into 1.
Beers has no choice but to follow Hirschman around the top side of Coulter, who falls a lap off the leaders. As is that of Tim Connolly and the Mystic Missile just up the road. Tim and team had to thrash to get this car repaired. They had wrecked pretty hard on the front straightaway in last night's Smart Modified event. And after that impact, the team had to spend 3+ hours at the facility trying to get the car race ready. He just fell 1 lap down, but is still having a great run as he runs in 14th spot with Bonsignor, the pace setter.
You know, you gotta love a story like Tim Connolly, who has so much, so many starts here on the Modified Tour and such a rich history within this division. And, you know, running the Mystic Missile, that is the actual Mystic Missile race car that he bought from Bob Gambarino back a few years ago, and really just keeping the tradition alive here. While it isn't the fastest car every single week, the heart and soul of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour lies within deep in the field. Not just necessarily your front runners, but it's great to see Connolly out there. And on a night when, hey, you know what? We didn't really hit it out of the park on Saturday night. I've been doing this 30+ years. I think it's just time to go home and have a Sunday, you know, with friends and family. No, not the case. They thrashed on the car all night, Eric, to your point, and are back here running strong today. A little bit off the pace, but again, sometimes it's not about the speed in the race car. It's just to watch the history of a car like the number 3, a car like the number 4. You can go back to pictures and old 8mm film and see video of cars that look very similar to like the modern day versions of the cars that you see on the racetrack here today.
Last couple of laps, Matt Hirschman has been chiseling away at the lead that Justin Bonsignor has been nursing. Last time around, Hirschman just ran his personal best lap of this race, which is hard to believe, being that this race went back green on lap 35. We are about 55 laps beyond that point. Not sure if we'll see another caution, not sure if we'll see another chance for these teams to be able to work on these race cars or put on some new, fresh rubber. But Hirschman is evidently turning up the wick as he goes faster yet that last lap, and it's now down to 0.7 of a second, trying to cut into Bonsignor's lead.
And let's see where he's really picking up on the racetrack. Let's see if it's going into turn number 1. as this time Bonsignor catches the lap car of Ken Hagee in an inopportune place, and Hirschman is marching. He is shaking off Austin Beers. Beers has either faded a little bit as we go back to the battle for 4th position. Patrick Emmerling closing in on Tyler Ripkema. Old Blues doesn't swing wide, stays about the middle of lanes 1 and 2, but that's not enough for Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling needs big things to happen this afternoon, and that's a big move. Car number 1 making his way to the front, slowly but surely. A great consistent afternoon. If we get a late race caution and the car is coming to him, Emmerling could be a driver that could steal a victory and really make it a 3-way race for the championship on Saturday.
And you said he has to make big things happen. He was not going to waste any more time with Tyler Ripkema right there to try to get up to 4th and set his sights on the car up ahead in Austin Beers. The problem is Emmerling is pretty far back from 3rd place. It's about 5 seconds, so you have to head on up and catch the battle for 3rd right now for Emmerling, who is setting a torrid pace, and he just ran his personal best lap right there. That one car is coming alive at the right time.
So I wonder if Justin Bonsignor has, now if they're picking up speed, then that is a testament to Bonsignor just realizing that he's pacing the field. He kind of give up a little bit, maybe save something for the end, whereas the other guys are charging. I mean, there is no quit right now in Matt Hirschman. Same thing with Patrick Emmerling. They enter turn number 1. The battle for the lead has subsided a little bit. Looks like about a second now as maybe he's been radioed that Hirschman is coming and coming in a hurry. So whatever you were saving, don't do it, because you can never count out Matt Hirschman. You don't want to give him a sniff of the lead.
Coming up on 1/3 of this race to remain, as it will be 50 laps to go next time by. And a little bit of history on the line for that of Justin Bonsignor. Obviously, we've been shining a spotlight on the championship title fight, with Bonsignor potentially looking for his 4th title. Just last week, he took sole possession of 3rd on the all-time win list, passing the great Ted Christopher by virtue of his victory, win number 43 in his career. Should he go on to win this race, it would put him at 44 and tie him with Reggie Ruggiero, who is 2nd on the all-time wins list. Still has a good way to go to catch Mike Stefanik, who holds top honors with 74, but it could be back-to-back wins and back-to-back steps up the rung in the all-time win ladder for Bonsignor if he can hang on.
Great point. And talking to Justin this morning, and they went through a bit of a drought in the midsummer stretch, and I say drought, they win, what, 5 or 6 races without winning. Most drivers would love to have that, but I'm sure it gnawed a little bit at him that he wasn't stacking up and making, either a pass on Christopher or closing in on Ruggiero. He says, I don't think about it too much. We're here to concentrate on the race. We're here to concentrate on 2024 and the championship. But when you start to look at the stats don't lie. And the pedestal that we put Mike Stefanik and Reg Ruggiero and Teddy Christopher well deserved to be up there in the top 3. You forget that Justin Bonsignor has been at this for 15, 16 years, and he is a 3-time champion, and he is starting to get to the point in his career where his stats are really starting to elevate his status as a legendary regional competitor. And he will be held in the same regard, in the same breath as those drivers too, because when we grew up, we think of the veterans who competed for 15, 16 years, and they seemed like the old guys. But now Justin Bonsignor has been there for the same stretch and is yielding the same results in an ultra-competitive Whelen Modified Tour.
Been a big year also for that of Justin Bonsignor outside of the modified world. Got in the ARC of an Art Series car with Rhett Jones Racing to start off the season, and then of course made his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut at New Hampshire for Joe Gibbs Racing. Was pretty much running up in the top 10 all race long, led a couple of laps as well before a late incident put him outside of the top 20, and it was something that Justin wanted to task himself with and challenge himself just to see if he could do it. And that's been a short track storyline. A lot of short track heroes, especially on a scale like with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, getting a chance, a shot to prove they've got what it takes and follow the trajectory of some of the modified greats who've been able to move on to greener pastures, even if it's on the stock car side of the aisle in terms of national motorsports exposure and competition. Bonsignor's proven time and time again he can get the job done. Now we're going to see if he can do it here at North Wilkesboro with the Whelen Modified Tour, as he is in some heavy lap traffic.
to your point, when he got in that ARCA car at Daytona, he was up front. As you mentioned, he did not have the outcome that he desired that day, but they knew he was there. Same thing with New Hampshire. Ran in the top 5, led a couple of laps. Didn't get the result, but that was not of his own doing, and they knew that he was there. The level of talent in this division and other regional tours throughout the United States of America is proving once again that talent matters. And when you put a talented race car driver in one of the most well-funded rides out there in Big 3 NASCAR, they're going to get results. And look at this. This is something we did not think we were going to see in turn number 2.
There wasn't a lot of worry coming out of that camp a handful of laps ago, but with this race having a green flag tenure, that is Justin Bonsignor putting Ronnie Silk, coming into this race, was the championship points leader. He is now a lap down. Silk is going to hope for a quick caution if possible. Luckily for Silk, Bonsignor's got a good ways to go to catch the next car, which would be Chase Dowling in 7th.
But the other thing is you might want to look at Bobby Labonte right behind Ronnie Silk as they battle for that free pass position. Our number 38, I believe, is 1 lap down as well. 51 continues to lead this one off of turn number 2. Is certainly the ace of the field. I'm not sure if he has clinched the most laps led for the race. That will be 1 point that he might need at Martinsville, because all bets are off when it comes to Martinsville. This is certainly taken on a green flag run with the number of cars that we have entered and the wide racing surface. That isn't going to be the case on Saturday. It was absolute calamity last year for the championship race, and I know both big horses in this fight are expecting the same thing. So just because you see Ronnie Silk down 1 lap today, same thing could happen to Justin Bonsignor next week. That's been the case of the Whelen Modified Tour for the last couple of years.
Bad news for Ronnie Silk. He just lost that spot to Bobby Labonte behind that of Bonsignor. So with 34 to go at the line and a lot of cars really starting to slip and slide their way around this 5/8 mile, Ronnie Silk would not be in the free pass position. And as things run, even though he's still running in 9th, that would give Bonsignor unofficially 8 points going into the finale at Martinsville next week.
And even if it is an 8 or 10 point advantage when he walks out of this facility here tonight, I know that he is not completely confident that it's a sealed deal. I mean, he's still battling Ronnie Silk. He's still battling Patrick Emmerling. It's going to be a dogfight all the way to the finish, quite possibly the last lap. That's this Saturday at Martinsville Speedway. Big weekend for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here in the second to last race of the year. It has been dominated, the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150, dominated by Justin Bonsignor.
Race has only seen 1 caution flag, came relatively early, and it was a single car spin for Sam Ramo, who was able to continue on. It has been all Bonsignor and a Bergman, Beers, Emmerling, Ripkema, your top 5. 30 to go this time by, and the field is pretty well spread out, especially amongst the lead lap positions. Right now, only 7 cars on the lead lap, Dowling being the last of those, who's just about on the same straightaway as Bonsignor. As you see Silk trying to hang on, he's lost the spot to Kyle Bonsignor, and that's Hirschman in 2nd, getting by him as well.
That's how dominant the 51 has been this afternoon. They're just lapping Ronnie Silk, and talked to Justin about this championship fight. It seems like every single year he is in it, and I asked him if this year reminded him of any of the others that he has been in, and he said no, each one is a little bit different. The last couple of years, of course, he's been the driver who has been on the other end of the championship battle, and Ronnie Silk was the winner, of course, last year. John McKennedy, the winner the previous year. So each one presents a different challenge and a different vibe for car 51, but he really, I mean, racing is so much about momentum. The fact that he has led the most laps in the last 2 races, trying to pick up his 2nd straight win after going on a quote-unquote, I'm using air quotes, you can't see in the booth here, but 5 or 6 races without a win. That was considered a drought. They've had 7 different winners this year in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and it doesn't look like that number is going to grow here this afternoon.
Ronnie Silk doing some pretty sportsman-like things in the middle of the pack. He pulled way over to get out of the way of Austin Beers, who was running 3rd in this race. However, the bleeding has not yet stopped for Silk. He's fallen back to 10th. Next car behind him is that of Carson Lofton, who is starting to close up on Silk as well, as he may be in danger of falling out of the top 10 for the first time in 2024. Ronnie Silk trying to keep that streak alive. And this is the gap from Bonsignor all the way back to Hirschman. On the stopwatch, it's 5 seconds. On the racetrack, more than a straightaway. Bonsignor putting on a clinic. We are in the final 25 laps, inside the final 24 laps now of this race.
You look at Ronnie Silk, who rides in 10th, and that has been his kryptonite this year. He has three other 10th place finishes, one at Monadnock, one at Lancaster, and one at Loudon. Those are his worst finishes of the year. This could be the first race of 2024 that Ronnie Silk finishes outside of the top 10. But to your point, a gentleman's racer, even on the worst day of the season for him, racing unselfishly and realizing that it isn't his day. Some would say Bugsy's way if you've read the Bug Stevens book. Racing Bugsy's way. It's not my day. I know there's a lot on the line, but I'm going to let the drivers who have a shot this afternoon have their shot, because I need those goodwill chips on the days that I'm up front, and I need the drivers to possibly move out of the way if they're not having a bad day, and that could very well be the case in 6 days on the championship Saturday.
This is Hirschman getting around Labonte, who again is a lap down is that of Bobby Labonte in that number 38 car, scored in 8th as that car is coming alive late in the going. And there are a lot of ill-handling race cars right now coming off the corner. Can we go 20 laps clean and green to the finish, or will we see our second caution that will ratchet this field up and erase what has been a dominant effort for that of Bonsignor to this point, who is now on the back Nerf bar of Luke Baldwin, who runs 7th.
Yeah, 7 of Baldwin probably needs another caution flag. Matter of fact, I think everybody besides Justin Bonsignor and possibly even Matt Hirschman need a caution flag at this point. A lot of drivers screaming on the radio. They're a little bit out of shape. They're running like it was Wilkesboro before it was repaved, and that pavement went from the early 80s all the way up until 2023, 2024. It continues to be Bonsignor as he makes his way up at turn number 4. You know, you mentioned Bobby Labonte running in 8th. He ran in the top 10 for the balance of the race last year until there was a late race incident that regulated him, didn't give him the finish that he wanted. What an interesting turn in his career after his championship in the NASCAR Cup Series, and you know, he NASCAR Hall of Famer, goes open wheel racing and runs the Smart Tour and occasionally runs here on the Whelen Modified Tour, and you can tell just absolutely has a blast doing it. You go out, you make your money, you not pad your stats, but you make your stats, and then you go have fun. So his racing retirement has been nothing but joy, and Bobby Labonte having a great run.
Battle for third starting to intensify. Patrick Emmerling has come from a long ways back to catch pole sitter Austin Beers for third position. Even though he may not be able to gain ground on Bonsignor in the points, he may be able to close up that gap on Silk in what could still be a 3-car battle at Martinsville next week to settle out the final results in the standings. Emmerling in the 1, the 64 of Beers, and they're going around Joey Coulter with Bobby Labonte up ahead. Here's Emmerling with a run.
I love this out of car number 1. It's the run we've been looking for the first 75% of the race. He needs to be aggressive if he gains these points, even if it's not for the championship. Second place and third place, the gap between that and the prize money is significant as well. So not only is he just running for precious points, but the prize money that goes along with that point fund, and also pride too. He goes down to the inside, has a good look at Austin Beers, who's up behind, well, I believe that's Bobby Labonte in the 38 as they make their way back into turn 1.
And Labonte's running that same line that Beers and Emmerling collectively won in order to settle this fight for position. Labonte is running in 8th position, trying to round out his day with a top 10 effort, even though he is 1 lap off the leaders. Oof. Emmerling with a late cut to the inside. Right on the back Nerf bar of Beers as they go into turn 1.
I was wondering what he was doing, if he was going to try the outside on Bobby Labonte. So you can tell that Patrick Emmerling knows the weight of this battle, and he is getting a little desperate. Cautiously aggressive. Car number 1 on the inside, trying to steal that line away from pole sitter Austin Beers. Beers undefeated in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour when it comes to poles here at North Wilkesboro Speedway since the repave or the rebirth of the facility. Having a great run, runs in the 3rd position. He's got Emmerling right there as they're off of turn number 4.
All this happening a long ways behind your race leader in Bonsignors. This is the best battle we've got on the racetrack right now. Bonsignor clear of Matt Hirschman by 6 seconds. This fight for the final spot on the podium with the race continuing to run green. Now they're coming up on 8 laps to go. Off of turn 4, everybody trying to be a little bit light with getting back to the power on corner exit, hoping that the right rear is going to be able to withstand 8 more laps.
Except for Patrick Emmerling. Now, Emmerling also a champion this year in the NASCAR Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. 3 races at the Monadnock Speedway with a point fund, an additional point fund of nearly $20,000 extra. It was over the course of 3 races. Emmerling really just sealed it out and picked up the championship with car number 1, but wants the big ring, wants the NASCAR Whelen Modified Championship for 24, and needs this position. This is paramount for him. Goes to the inside, even though he's not going to take away the point lead. He could possibly move into second this afternoon.
We saw that Emmerling didn't waste any time getting around Tyler Ripkema for 4th. What is he going to be willing to do with Beers here for 3rd? Around Melissa Fifield in the 0-1 car as they come off turn number 4. Emmerling trying to get a good run off the corner. Not going to happen here. He'll try to size him up in turn 1.
It's the number 1 right in the tire tracks. He falls off just a little bit as he gearing up for a late race charge. Now this is all happening behind leader Justin Bonsignor, as it looks like Beers is having a really hard time getting into turn number 3. You can see he's loose off of turn number 4, so Emmerling has the handle on the race car. Beers has the horsepower off of turn number 4. Here they are in 2, and they're coming up on some lot traffic. Looks like that's Craig Lutz they're coming up on.
Good, now working their way through 3 and 4. Here comes Emmerling again to the bottom. They're coming up on the 0-6 of Sammy Ramo, who is a couple of laps down. Ramo running in the middle of the road right now. Emmerling going way up towards the outside retaining wall to get a good offer off the corner. Bonsignor is going to come to 2 to go. This is the battle for 3rd and 3.
Justin Bonsignor led the most amount of laps last week to really get in the fight at Thompson Speedway. He picked up the victory. It was victory that got him past Ted Christopher on the all-time leaderboard. Now he's going to tie Reggie Ruggiero if he can hold on for the final 5 of the final lap. And down the back straightaway in the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 here at North Wilkesboro. The championship will be decided on Saturday, and it's going right down to the wire with a brand new point leader and winner in Justin Bonsignor.
Bonsignor, the winner, going to take command in the title fight. Here's the battle for 3rd off the final corner. Emmerling to the bottom, but can't get there. Austin Beers holds on for 3rd behind Bonsignor, the winner, and Kyle Bonsignor has a problem off the final corner.
Much like last year, there was an incident on the final lap of the Whelen Modified race here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, but nothing calamity-wise like last year. So last night, he took an elevator ride. This afternoon, he gets the same ride. But nighttime meets daytime. And a driver who came into this race 5 points behind Ronnie Silk will now leave the race with a sizable point lead, but certainly not insurmountable for next Saturday, or this Saturday, at Martinsville Speedway.
You read the stat earlier, Andy. Only 1 time before this race has either of the top 2 finished outside of the top 10. That number now grows to 2. First time in 2024 that Ron Silk did not crack the top 10. And here is Justin Bonsignor in front of the fans who have come out to the rescheduled running of this race with checkered flag in hand, celebrating win number 4 on the season and win number 44 of his Whelen Modified Tour career, moving him to 2nd all-time, tied with that of Reggie Ruggiero in what has been an incredible last 2 weeks for the driver out of Holtsville, New York.
He came in 5 points out, goes 10 points up into the championship race on Saturday. But if you think this is a safe moment for Justin Bonsignor, you're right, it's a safe moment. Brand new situation on Saturday. The same thing could happen. It's been so much of a seesaw battle between these two. taking the Polish victory lap, and a driver who certainly knows the weight of this moment, knows the weight of this racetrack. And throughout our conversation this morning, he kept on pointing to the middle of the racetrack. He wasn't pointing at the start-finish line. He was pointing at the elevator. And if you've never seen a race at North Wilkesboro Speedway, you're about to see something unfold here that is quite unique. I mean, you look back at old NASCAR footage and Harry Gant, when he went on the Big Four race run in 1991 and one of the races here at North Wilkesboro, and raising the race car onto the level. Victory Lane sits right on the front stretch, or actually in the infield, right in front of the front stretch. Bonsignor is going to have that moment.
Not that long ago, Justin Bonsignor did just this. Rode the elevator ride up to the top at Victory Lane after winning the 99-lap Smart Modified Tour event that was held here. This is going to be the first time he gets to do this in Whelen Modified Tour competition. He definitely knows the parameters of the race car to drive it up on the lift. No problems at all for that team. He'll grab a couple of crew members and start to ascend up to the elevated Victory Lane in what was a lightning-fast race that flashed by with only one caution flag, forcing teams to be assured that they had enough rubber to get to the end. And it was Justin Bonsignor, whose car didn't seem to lose all that much pace compared to the competition, who ends up grabbing the win, and this ride that he and that organization will remember forever.
It is something I'm so glad they were able to carry over into the resurrection of North Wilkesboro Speedway. Anybody on the grounds who has seen different camera shots throughout the day here watching on Flow has seen the restoration, the resurrection of North Wilkesboro Speedway, whether it's the NASCAR Winston Cup sign towards turn number 1, the Holly Farms, or excuse me, the Tyson leaderboard in turn number 3, some of the different signs and landmarks of this facility have continued into the second coming of this racetrack, and so glad that the elevator is part of that. They're going up. Justin's out of the race car now and just cannot wait to celebrate up there with the rest of his crew.
One of the most unique opportunities for these teams to be able to come back to a venue. As you mentioned, Andy, this racetrack has been through it all. We heard it when we got the show started in our opening invocation. This track that broke ground back in 1945 opened in May of 1947 and then shut down in the mid-90s. It did come back to life in 2010 and 11 for some independent events, but all around, the earth started to take this facility back, and it was a monumental effort by many parties, especially those at Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, to be able to get this racetrack back up and running in 2022. Tour-type modifieds were part of the program then. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour joined in 2023, and now on fresh pavement with a new style to attack this 5/8 of a mile oval. The drivers have been challenged for 150 laps, and for the second running of this event over the course of the last 2 years, first time in his career, Justin Bonsignor is going to be pulling into Victory Lane as a winner at this facility, taking over the points lead in the process.
I believe the first time he has had the points lead since the month of September. So a lot of the conversation this morning was the fact that it's a little different because I've been on the outside looking in, but going into championship night or championship afternoon, he is going to be the driver who is chased.
Well, Bonsignor's car has gone to Victory Lane. Jesse Punch is standing down there with our winner.
Justin Bonsignor takes that steering wheel off and gets ready to climb out here in Victory Lane and celebrate with his team, a team that has been incredibly confident in their driver and their race car these last 2 weeks, understandably so. Justin Bonsignor, another dominating performance. He is your winner this afternoon here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Justin, congratulations. Another win, back-to-back wins heading into this championship race. Where is the confidence? Is this a championship winning team this year?
Yeah, this car's 2 for 2 this year. Brought it out right at the best part of the year, and just a great job to everybody. Ryan Stone been working his guts out, and these cars have been lights out. You know, one last week up at Thompson, one last night here, and it's just really special. Just can't thank Ken Massa and Janine Massa enough for everything they do. This is 15 years and 44 wins. It's just it's really special to do it, and to do it in that fashion today. I don't think we've ever had a car that dominant. This series is really tough, and just waiting for Matt to turn it on and start running us down. So just want to thank Phoenix Communications, Clearcom IT Solutions, Fury Race Cars, Robbie Yates Engines, M3 Technologies, the entire pit crew. This is a tough 3-week stretch here to get these cars turned around. They got to have to do 2 this week to go try and win this deal at Martinsville. So 44 is cool, but there's a bigger goal next week.
This race didn't exactly play out as I think a lot of teams were expecting it to, not having an opportunity to change tires. What was going through your mind? Were you concerned at any point?
Yeah, a little bit. You just don't know if your car is going to fall off a cliff or not. But yeah, our car just maintained those 18.0s, I guess it was, basically the entire race, and was just out there logging laps. DJ, my spotter, did a great job of telling me where other guys were running and making time, and I think that helped us as well. But just want to say hello to my son. I always forget him. He's now 0 for 3 in the last 8 days, so he's probably upset, even though he doesn't know anything. Yeah, he's only 10 months, but just want to thank everybody. This is really special, and I want to thank all the fans for coming out. I know this was tough with everything that's gone on in this region of the country the last couple weeks, and we appreciate the support. And on to Martinsville, I'm sure it's going to be a battle.
Justin, quickly, you said this car's gone 2 for 2. Do we see it again? And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bring it to Martinsville?
That's a pretty silly question, though. Yeah, Ryan and the guys are going to work their guts out to get this car turned back around. And last night's car is a backup just to be 2 bullets ready to go. Our car chief, Ryan Blanchard, is probably going to be a little upset with all the stuff he's going to have to clean on 2 cars this week. If you don't know, he's our old spotter. He's a spotter in the Cup Series now, but he helps us in our shop. So just really special, and I'm looking forward to Martinsville. Can't come soon enough.
Expect more speed in Martinsville from this 51. Congratulations, Justin Bonsignor. Enters this race second in the points. Leaves here 10 to the good, your points leader.
What a weekend for Bonsignor and company. He mentioned 2 bullets in the chamber. He's got 2 race-winning cars that are coming back with him on the hauler to prepare for Martinsville. He mentioned the big turnaround. Obviously, it's a much different characteristic style of racetrack. But, man, momentum definitely on Bonsignor's side with the finale coming up in less than 1 week's time.
And it does play into the fact that I think this is kind of a homecoming for this team, too. They are now based out of North Carolina, even though predominantly the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competes in the northeast of the country. They moved the race team down to North Carolina and have been commuting long distances for those races. So it's kind of neat to win one in your own backyard here. Boy, look at that trophy. That is unique.
Similar piece of hardware that's been given out all throughout the weekend. Bonsignor is grabbing 2 trophies to take home with him. Unbelievable effort by he and that organization. Just 1 day ago, our NASCAR Regional Socials posted a little bit of a snippet of Reggie Ruggiero giving a peek into some of his past success with the Tour. Reggie has been one of the most outgoing characters of modified racing for several years, and he now has some company in second on the all-time win list. With Bonsignor winning this race, he'll try to tie it up with the title, potentially if he can get win number 45 next week at Martinsville. We don't have to wait long to see these cars back in action. Let's get some closing thoughts from our pit reporter today, Jesse Punch. Here's Jesse.
Well, you guys said it, less than a week from now, we will see the championship race for this series. And coming out of this afternoon, I still don't know who is going to be our champion. As you saw with Justin Bonsignor, things can change quickly. But what impressed me the most was watching that one team. After struggling last week at Thompson, they showed today that they are very much still in this. Although still a number of points back, they've got the ambition and they are not giving up on the potential to win this championship. Like I said, tune in at Martinsville, though, because you cannot count out Ron Silk or our points leader, Justin Bonsignor. It's a tight battle, and we'll find out 6 days from now who will be crowned the champion.
Thanks, Jesse. And Andy, typically Martinsville produces a pretty large field. I think that we've seen the top 2 in Bonsignor and Silk already have their mulligan for the season. They both have to be on the attack next week. Bonsignor's got some momentum, but as Jesse said, anything could happen. Martinsville's going to be a must-see event. Momentum
is everything in motorsports, and right now Bonsignor has it. They have the mojo. They have the vibe in that 51 team, but that vibe can be wiped out with a lap car. That vibe can be wiped out by a bad pit stop. We saw that happen last week with the 51 car. He was able to rebound and pick up a victory. But so many different factors into Martinsville. It's still anybody's race. Ronnie Silk did not have the afternoon that they set out for, but I'm sure that team will rally and be just as strong, if not even stronger. This might have rattled the cage for Ron Silk's team to really step it up for Saturday and come out swinging.
An event that was well worth the wait by many. Hats off to all the teams, the series, who were able to step up in a big way by coming back to this area and provide many goods that are needed by those who were impacted by Hurricane Helene. And of course, we are thinking about all of our friends down in Florida who were impacted by Hurricane Milton as well. Our hearts are with you all. Only one race to go in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for 2024. The title fight is going to go all the way down to the wire. It's Justin Bonsignor claiming the Brushy Mountain Powersports 150 in 2024 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. On behalf of our entire hardworking and dedicated production team, Jesse Punch, who was down trackside, Andy Austin, I'm Eric Brennan. So long from North Wilkesboro. We'll see you in Martinsville to settle the 2024 season.